Coming up next is our newspaper review segment. We'll be joined virtually by our reviewer as we look to connect to our guest this morning to further shed light on it. We're joined by Honorable Daniel Atayi. Honorable Atayi, good morning to you.
Good morning, ADD.
Thank you for joining us on the program. Let's get straight into the discussions. Now, the word on the streets, especially with a 3-day warning strike, is that doctors in the FCT are somewhat aggrieved about the approach to governance and are blaming the FCT minister for overly prioritizing road construction whilst healthcare suffers. They're lamenting unpaid salaries and a depleted welfare as well. What do you make of this 3-day warning strike as embarked by doctors in the FCT? Well, it may seem as though Dr. Honorable Atayi's network is having some glitch. I don't know if it's stabilized. Honorable Atayi, did you get my question?
I don't know whether this, I couldn't get you well. Probably whether it's network problem from your side. I don't know. But what I heard is the FCT minister is being blamed for putting road infrastructural amenities into more priorities than the medical doctors or the health sector in the FCT. Is that your question?
Yes, please.
Anyway, he is the minister of FCT. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, he is the minister of FCT and probably not the minister of health. We must get that straight first. However, he is like a governor of FCT, assuming FCT is the state. But as we all know, FCT is an appendage of the federal government administration. So, most of the honors of governance, inasmuch as it might lie on the shoulder of the minister of FCT, all other ministries must be seen to be meeting up in their ministries, departments, and agencies, so that we don't put all the blames on the head of the minister of FCT. Doing that as it may, it is proper indeed for Dr. Nelson Wike, the FCT minister, to prioritize the health sector, the welfare of the medical personnel. It is vital and paramount because we cannot afford, apart from the FCT, this goes also to the Minister of Health. We must prioritize our health sector. They say health is wealth. It is only in Africa, and particularly in Nigeria, that we will breed the best brain, not only in health sector, in all the sectors of our Nigerian enterprises. We will breed the best brain, first class, oh professor, oh PhD, bragging with all the names. Yet, we do not produce capacity from these professionalisms, and it is bad. It is a take, and I don't know which nation will build society build our education, harness talents from the same institution, and then waste it. That nation cannot move forward. It is not about prayer. It is not about fasting. It is not about prophecy. God Almighty, who made the world, and according to all books, have given man in charge of this earth. And that is why he gave man the 5 senses, or the 6 senses. You have all the abilities in your bodies and in your brain to function effectively to make your society an enabling one, and a one that is for adaptivity. But alas, in Nigeria, since 1960, instead of progressing, we kept retrogressing. And one wonder, apart from even the health sector and the education sector and all that we amass from the various ministries, departments, and agencies that we have, we tend not to administrate these things properly. And therefore, we are still looking for best brains from Oxford. We are still looking for best brains from Cambridge. We are still looking for people who schooled not using our curriculum. People whose curriculum are from UK, from US, and let me say even from Asian continent. We are looking for them. Whereas we have curriculum in our education system, and we have all facets, all manner of professionalisms, departments in our institutions. We breed these people. We give them degrees. We give them PhDs. We give them professors. We will send them to National Youth Service Corps to go and teach. Now our professors are only teachers. There is no industrial honor from these persons that we say we have trained from our education. And now the medical doctors, who are practically oriented from the same institution, we now look down on them. How can you look down on persons that have to deal with your life? Persons who are the mechanics of your life. How would you look down on this kind of people? And the same thing is true. People who protect our lives and properties, for instance, we put them in abject poverty, yet we give them the guns to guide us. And when they turn around to rob our streets, to rob our houses, we don't know how to even investigate who came to rob you or who are the armed robbers on the road. We put them in the abject condition of inhumanity.
Now, Honorable Atayi, Honorable Atayi,
yes,
I know where you're going with emphasizing the need for better welfare for also our security persons, but still sticking with the subject of the FCT doctors.
yeah.
The doctors have also issued a statement urging the leaders of the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, to make use of hospitals in the FCTA to assess the condition of the facilities and also the quality of care. They are saying this with the undertone that most of our elected leaders and appointed leaders do not use such hospitals within the country, and that is why their priorities have not been set right. Do you think this is the case, and should there be a term?
I think it is. They are absolutely right. You see, we have suggested this opinion to successive administration right from the time of President Obasanjo when he came on board in 1999. He even said he would use Nigerian hospitals. He would never fly abroad for medical attention. Did he keep to the promise? No. Even when Jonathan came, President Jonathan also said, in fact, He did his best in the health sector. He improved the welfare of health workers, medical nurses and medical doctors, even pharmacists. But alas, eventually, he has to fly abroad because there is this kind of mentality in our leaders' brains or head, where they believe that whatever is made in Nigeria is either inferior to what you have in UK, US, and even Asia. And it's a colonial mentality. It's a colonial mentality that needs to be decolonized. And when you think about these things, when Yaradua came, in his brief time, he did the same thing. And when Buhari came on board, Buhari was so emphatic about staying in the country, about using our health facilities. And of course, he too flew abroad for medical attention. So, a nation where the number one citizen's life is in the hand of another man, either white man or red man or Asian man or brown man in another continent, could you say that that nation is autonomous, has independent? Could you say that such a nation is a nation of patriotism, is a nation where citizens can boast and say, I'm a Nigerian or I'm an African? It is not. Your number one citizen, his life is controlled, is managed by a foreigner, and he has the same institution that produce medical doctors in his own country. He has no facility. Even if he has the facilities, the health facilities, he will not still use the health facilities. He will want to look for the best medical doctor from abroad. And so, the same thing goes to our economy. The same thing goes to the country is actually dichotomized into two. One, the elite has the upper hands in everything that they want in this country. The attention that they need could be given to the elite. Everything is about the elite in the country right now. Even the economy now is only the elite that can survive the kind of economy that we have now. The masses, the aspect of the masses, the middle people, they can afford some medical attentions, They can afford some health care, Even the primary health care, they are not there. In the 774 local government areas you go, the primary health cares are dilapidated. No, in fact, we are talking about only FCT. Yes, they may alarm about FCT because FCT is the Federal Capital Territory, is the administrative headquarters of the country, is the capital city of the Nigerian entity. But what do you have to do there? As they have finished, they have killed all facets of our productivity and including the health sector. And this is why the medical doctors are beginning to say, come, look, it is because these guys are not using the facilities yet. And so they will not know the importance of those facilities or the medical workers. And I think it is true until a law is made, just like we say that the law should be passed against corruption. Such law should encourage homemade or homegrown productivity, that we use homegrown product. If not, how would you take seriously a curriculum in your education that does not produce experts, that does not produce professionals that you can trust, that you can handle your particular institution or particular ministry or agency or department absolutely and say, look, take charge. If you think you don't have professionals in this field that can manage your life Your life as a president or as a senator or as a rep member, and you are scared of what you produce. You are scared of using what you produced in your country. It means you are telling the world and the rest of the citizens that you are producing nothing, and that you don't have medical doctors, you don't have medical nurses, you don't have those facilities in your country. That is the simple and objective or sovereign interpretation of the behavior of our political elite and even our political juggernauts.
No,
And
no.
it is sad. It is so sad. It is so sad that if the country continue like this, I will advise that since these things does not matter to them, why are you imposing so much embargoes and restricting productivity or restricting people who would want to go to college from doing so? You place the SSA, you place the JANRAM, you place the dichotomy, you place the cutoff mark, you place the youth service score, you place everything, and then you end up giving them paper certificate like you think they want to be productive. Even as medical doctors, you do not make a enabling environment for them. And then you want productivity in that nation. You take taxes, you take taxes from them, you take tuitions from them, you take accommodation fees from them, you take all manner of finances, direct and indirect taxes from them. And then when they come out of the colleges, they want to be productive, and there is no enabling environment.
Honorable Atayi, now, in balancing this conversation, many would also say that this administration has taken it a step further by introducing the students' loan scheme. Does this somewhat show up for some of the hurdles you say, like you mentioned, the cutoff mark and the increased tuition? On the other hand, yesterday, the Nigerian Universities Commission, NUC, also listed that pharmacy, physiotherapy, and optometry would now be 6-year courses, much like you have for medical and clinical sciences. What do you make of this introduction into the medical fields of study?
The medical field, they are getting things right from our institution. They are actually getting things right. But the aspect I found out is that, is it only a child of who is who, or a child of a politician, or a child of a millionaire, or a child of a billionaire that should have this admission to study medical courses in Nigeria? Why should we place this kind of discrepancies between the poor and the rich? You see, when you go to the medical department in our institutions, take an investigative drive to most of those colleges, and you will see what I'm talking about. Most of the students, they are either a daughter or a son of a senator, a governor, a local government chairman, or an assembly member, and so on. So the ordinary man who is farming, who wants his or her son or her daughter to become a medical doctor, will keep on writing jam. You will write jam, they will fail you, your cutoff point meet it, they will not take you, they'll frustrate your life.
But
and this is
that
a
is
country
only,
that...
I have to cut you there. Those are hypothetical statements. You might not have exact
They are not, I have the proof. If you want, I'll make the proof available to you. And this is why even some of the medical doctors, they'll tell you, it is not I didn't plan to study medicine. My father just pushed me. I want to do music. They have something in another intention in terms of...
Hold on, Honorable Atayi. Hold on, sir. My question was, what do you make... Honorable Atayi, I believe you're missing my question. My question was, what do you make about the NUC now approving for courses like pharmacy, physiotherapy, and optometry to now be 6-year courses? That was my question.
I said it is fantastic. It will enhance productivity. It will enhance research methodology. It will enhance capacity. In fact, it will enhance prowesses, medical prowesses. And what I'm trying to still say is that despite all this, don't we even have professors of medicine? What are they profiling? What kind of research has our medical institutions or medical professionals discovered? We still depend on either brains from UK, from US. We still depend on brains from China. We depend on brains from the World Health Organization to tell us that this virus has been found. And if we make research and we get results for solutions, they are not taken. So what kind of professionalism in the medical field are we producing? That is the question to the political elite that thinks that they are governing the country. If you are governing a country and you are spending and investing so much on your medical institutions, for instance, and then they come out, what is their research thesis? What is the product of their research? If before you have a PhD in medicine or professor in medicine, professor of any field of medicine, you are supposed to have some research work done. You must have some research, some findings. These are not hypotheses anymore. I'm talking about findings, theories. You have propound theories that look. So, I discovered this in the field of virus. I discovered this in the field of bacteria. I discovered this in the field of anatomy. I discovered this. Have you been finding those things in this country? Yet you hear they say this person have a broken what record, Guinness record in surgery. The Guinness record in this in the US, Guinness record in this in the UK, Guinness record in this in the Asia. How many of us in Africa and in the most populous black nation, Nigeria, have produced, have gotten all these things, have researched, have brought out research work that these are theories propounded by Nigeria? Have you this record? Do you have them? You don't have them. And this is why the psyche of our acclaimed nationalists and our political elite is that these guys in Africa and in Nigeria are not effective professionals, and therefore their lives cannot be guaranteed in their hands, and they take those things, they take their lives to abroad for medical attention. And I can tell you, still far from this thing.
All right, Honorable Atayi, point well made. Let's move on and touch on another subject in the news. Yesterday, Wednesday, we saw Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja presiding over a case in which the former Minister of Power, Alhaji Sulia Maman, was being tried, and the EFCC was prosecuting the eighth witness, a certain PWC, who is a BDC operator, Abdullahi, and he went on to narrate how he received 22 billion naira on behalf of the former Minister of Power, Alhaji Suleiman. In this case, where allegedly there's been 33.8 billion naira fraud in the power sector. I don't know if you've been following up the case, and it's coincidentally happening alongside the Mambila Power Project, in which our former presidents have been called to Paris to also take the stands. I don't know what you make of this issue in the news.
Thank you so much again for giving me this privilege to talk on this issue. It still boils down to corruption in the power sector, just like corruption in the defense sector, and just like corruption in the ministry we just talked about, Ministry of Health, and corruption in all facets of our enterprises. It still boils down to corruption. The power issue in this country, the power is generated by private entities shared with the federal government. Both are the ones that are producing power, electricity, generating electricity to us, for us in this country. And from one administration to another, we have the issue of corruption in the power sector. If you go to the rural areas, of course, there is nothing like power. They are collecting money, or they call it NEPA bills, every month, from artisans, from barbers, from saloonists, from hospitals, and the power that they never supply, power that they never did. In a whole month, in some rural areas, in a whole month, the amount of power you have, you may get. Let me make an instance of my own village in a local government of Benue State, Nigeria. It came out precisely the power that I have calculated when I served as councillor then in 2017 to 2019. I calculated the amount of power we usually get in a month, not more than 7 to 8 hours, sometimes 8 hours, 44 minutes in all 1 month. I'm not talking about 8 hours in a day. I'm talking about 8 hours in 30 days. When you divide 8 hours by 30, then you should know the amount of power that your government produces and gives to you in a day. You will know how minute it is, and you want to be proud to say, I'm in Nigeria. And then when the month ends, they bring the bill. And when they are coming with the bill, they are coming with ladders to even cut off your light when they have not even given you this power. So part of the failure of micro industries in the country is as a result of the power sector, power failure, and that power ministry have been so endemic in corruption. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody is sent to jail. But what will you have? You will hear a judge, when the case comes before a judge now, they will bring political intrigue into it, and they'll bail you. Maybe they'll say they find the man with 200,000 naira or an alternate imprisonment of 1 month or 3 months. And then the man goes to pay the fine and goes cost-free. And the FCC will come to investigate the laundry and the embezzlement or the misappropriation, and then come out and say they have taken such person to court. And then sorry, I have a network interjection from the terrestrial line. So by the time they do all their findings and arraign them, they go to prison, serve for 1 month, and go scot-free. And so the corruption continues. So to end the corruption in the power sector, like in all other sectors of our Nigerian enterprises, it is to place a debt ban. We may say it's a democracy, but how come that these things are working in China? How come that these things are effective in Malaysia? How come that they are working effectively in UK, in Germany, even countries that do not have death penalty because their citizens and their leaders are patriotic? But here in the country, in this black nation, what we think about position is for embezzlement. Anytime appointment is given or anytime somebody is elected into office, the first thing that comes to his or her mind is to devise means of bringing the country down by stealing or by misappropriating funds. And that is what we have all over. So in the constitutional reform of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the National Assembly, I will advise that one of the reforms that will stabilize all the enterprises of this country is death penalty on corrupt activities, misappropriation of funds, and embezzlement. Death penalty, because a ministry cannot release funds via procurement, and you have procurement industries or procurement agencies that will allow you to have access to this fund, and by the time you have access to this fund, you do not carry out the contract. You still do not carry out the contract, and year in, year out, appropriation budgets are real that, and not only real that, are also allocated to this same contract, to this roads, to these hospitals, to this education, to this and that. Yet we continue to move in cyclical motion, no progress, because we do not have death penalty. So people go scot-free. People are not afraid of breaking the law. They are not afraid of breaking the law because they know that there's no stringent penalty from this law, even when they break them. And so Mama Saleh or whoever was in charge of power you can say, or you will soon say, that he will go scot-free with all the billions stolen. And it is not only in the power sector, whether the defense, whether the health sector, whether every sector you talk about, whether the agricultural sector, every sector you talk about in Nigeria, corruption is endemic there, and there has been misappropriation of funds. And this is why we can now see the EFCC have tedious jobs to do. Tedious jobs to do. But sometimes I get tired of analyzing the country, the issues of the country. I get tired of it. And it is because there is no death penalty or no stringent penalties on corrupt practices and corrupt personalities.
Now, whilst many would say that the death penalty might be a little bit too extreme in the interim, can we see more persons in service resigning based on poor performance? That's what the NLC is asking the current Minister of Power to do, especially following his explanations as to why we have an e-censored power grid collapse and Nigeria continues to fall behind in its quest to generate more than 60,000 megawatts of electricity. Do you think that such calls for resignation would be heeded amongst our appointed political class?
Resignation without facing penalties. It is still a case of putting the rat before the cat and tell the cat, look, follow the other door and go, when the rat is still with the cat. What are we talking about here? Resignation is a patriotic thing to do, but have you seen where Nigerians resign honorably from any position in history? Very few, maybe 1% out of 100. But me, I have not seen where somebody in a position in Nigeria would resign on the ground of incompetency or misappropriation of funds or what have you. Nigerians don't resign. They don't resign because corruption is like synonymous to our various facets of administration. And so the call for resignation, it is not enough. We are talking about stiffer penalties on corrupt practices, stiffer penalties in the new constitution or the anticipated constitutional reform. We want stiffer penalties, death penalties on corrupt officials. If not, this country will not move forward. A country where people don't value lives anymore. People can manufacture fake drugs, and the end, what do you call it? NAFDAC can still certify that drug as very effective. A country where people are given funds to go and buy military equipment to safeguard particles. And those funds will be
well, Honorable Atayi, you may seem...
Sorry, my network was interjected by Terrestrial Call again. And let me tell you, if we do not have these reforms in the new or the anticipated constitution, I tell you, like I have been saying, we are still heading nowhere. Are you aware that the problem or the quagmire we find ourselves in this country is not a question of administrative or lack of administrative facilities or administrative heads. We have everything. We have all the laws. We have a good constitution. We have everything nice. The only thing that we do not have is the stiffer penalty on people who are mounting these things, people who spearhead these things, people who spearhead the ministries, the agencies, the department, people who spearhead, people who are elected in the office. Even the issue of immunity clause. Somebody like me will want you to remove, because nobody should be above the law in any nation. Even the number one citizen should not be above the law, should not break the law, should not distract the law. The law is not only for the poor masses to keep. The law is also for the political elite the administrative elites, the military and the paramilitary heads to keep, to observe, to follow, and that is what we call national patriotism. That is national planning. That is nationhood. That is nation building. Where these things are not there, and we have the class of the elite breaking the laws, and then we are enforcing the laws against the class of the masses, the poor, we do not have a nation in that regard. And we will never have a patriotic nation that people will be proud as citizens of that nation.
Well, in moving on, let's also touch on another subject, and it's the case with the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria lamenting the last year in 2024, a total of 1.4 trillion naira of unsold goods were recorded in Nigeria. Now, an expert is saying that should Nigeria continue with this trend, we run the risk of hyperinflation. But whilst this is being said, the FRC yesterday also said that no, that with available statistics, the country does not run the risk of hyperinflation because we do not yet have galloping prices, with the federal government promising to crash down inflation from 34% to 15% within a calendar year. Honorable Atayi, logically speaking and with your knowledge of economics, how optimistic is this promise in line with the current realities we're faced with as Nigerians?
Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, MAN. If I asked you, like you know and all of us know, apart from the crude oil, which is still not manufactured or refined here, what does the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria manufacture for the citizens? Is it the power that they are manufacturing? I am coming to that. I'm coming to your question. Is it what are they manufacturing for Nigeria? As a matter of fact, it is just an association in the name, an association of elite who are portfolio managers, who are moving about collecting contracts from federal government, collecting contracts from state government, collecting contracts from local government, and not executing them. They are not manufacturing anything. Are we productive in Nigeria? What productive capacity or level are we? And what are those things that we are producing? Even our first level industries cannot even finish goods like the agricultural goods. Agriculture is a natural endowment for any nation. Other nations harness these things and they become productive in agriculture and they supply food. Not only that they store food for their nation to avoid or to avoid famine, but they export food, finished product. Today we have packages. We are eating sardine in Nigeria. We are eating manufactured indomies from China in Nigeria. Even our local Maggies are produced from China. Our food are produced, even rice we import. So what is the manufacturing industry? I mean the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria manufacturing. They are even the cause of the hyperinflation. If the association was strong, would they just allow subsidy removal to take place? What were they? Well, where were they when the president pronounced that subsidy is gone? Even if the president has good vision towards the subsidy removal, are we seeing those visions now in the lives of the citizens? Is the president not entrusting the subsidy investment into the hands of the governors? Are they giving the subsidy investment into the people? Are they giving the people enabling environment or per capita income or per monthly income? Or are they giving the citizens social security income? What do we have as citizens of the country? They have unleashed hell, suffering on the masses, and then the elite keep enjoying themselves under the aegis of the name Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, my foot. Are you hearing what I'm saying? They are manufacturing nothing. They are manufacturing poverty. They are manufacturing failure. They are manufacturing inflation. And that is what the association stands for. I don't give a hook about this association. It is just in the name. It is political. It is a political tie. So probably threaten the president or threaten the governors or threaten the chairman for their political biddings and their merchandising. Because their franchise is just merchandising. They are doing absolutely nothing in the country.
Honorable Atayi.
Even the chairman, I think Dangote was the chairman of the man. We have them plenty.
Honorable
What are
Atayi.
they doing? They're absolutely, yes.
While we might understand your grievance towards the political class in shaping the economy we have today, let's also talk about the Nigerians of whom are also lamenting that their purchasing power parity has dropped. Whilst you might see a correlation between...
That is what I'm saying.
Hold on, let me land. Whilst you might see a correlation between the unsold goods and Nigerians who say that they can't afford, especially with the numerous items grappling for their take home. There's also a 50% hike in tariffs for telecommunication. People are now doing the math and saying they're spending more than 15% of income on communication. Do you see a correlation between these statistics and the actual reality Nigerians are faced with?
The actual reality that Nigerians are faced. I'm a Nigerian, and I know that the purchasing power parity of myself has dropped. If a citizen has no capacity of purchasing the needed domestic needs, let's say food, for instance. Let's forget about fuel here, because you need to eat first before you can drive your car, before you can power your plant to supply you electricity, and before the power will come to collect your bill, your high bill, without supplying you anything. This is we have been reduced to abject poverty. Nobody is among the middle class in Nigeria, among the class of the masses of Nigeria. Nobody is finding it easy. And the unemployment rate is still high. The unemployment rate is high. Micro businesses cannot be driven because one, there is no power to drive your micro, and when you have your plant, you can't even afford the petrol to fuel your plant for you to be productive if you are self-employed. The microeconomy is gone, and therefore, even we want to blame the Igbo boys who are mostly in charge of the microeconomy. We want to blame them for price hike when your ministries like the digital ministry and communication ministry are already hiking their tariff, when the fuel is already 1,000 plus per liter, and these guys need these things, they need communication, they need the petrol to power plants. Almost everywhere you go, most of the industries, the micro industries you have, are being powered today by what? By plants, not by the JED or the AED or what have you, by the private providers of electricity in the country. Everything is goddamn high. Now, whether you like it or not, as a citizen in this country, you are paying taxes more than what you eat in your home. You are paying taxes, very, very high, indirect taxes, because by the time the tariffs are high in the communication sector, I am communicating with you now. My data is running, and it's running not at the speed of per second anymore, because my charges are going to be charged, even if it is 1 second, it's going to be charged. Not running per minute anymore, it's running per second. They are going to be charged, and by the time they are charged, I am not getting money from any government facet to provide data for myself. I have to struggle with my sweat. I have to struggle with my hands, with my skills. Meanwhile, I'm educated. And with my first degree, I will go pay tuition fee to Nigerian education, come out and provide job for myself. And when I provide job for myself, the government will place several embargoes of taxes on me. How do you want me? How does the government want me to be productive? So you will see the first line of poverty infliction is caused by the federal government and state government themselves, even down to the local government where there is nothing. So, my brother, we are in a quagmire and in a state of comatose in all facets of our lives, and we cannot pray to God for deliverance because God has given us everything. We deliberately and we are mischievously people who cannot manage our lives, our families, not to talk of our economy. And this is why we find ourselves in the situation where we find ourselves. And it has led to high rate of crime, high rate of murder everywhere. Most of the graduates today are now Yahoo boys, and then they are doing Yahoo to get money. They now call one Yahoo Plus. They are now killing people to make money. Where in a nation will you think that human blood is supposed to give you money more than the institutions of the country, of the MDAs that you have, that your government control? People are taking lives in the name of making money. Is that a nation? Oh my God, we are in a situation where I don't know whether we are to regret or to live or to dodge away from the nation and leave the country for the elite. I pray that Mr. President will look into these reforms that will give Nigerians succor. Nigerians want an enabling environment to live. Let them lead, let the poor breathe. Let them breathe at least. Let the masses breathe. We know that the level that Mr. President is, the level that the senators are, the levels that the ministers are, they know nothing like poverty anymore. So they don't know, they don't feel the pain. They don't feel they should disguise themselves and come to the street and move on the street and see the livelihood of their citizens, the people that they are leading to nowhere. If you are leading the people to nowhere, you are not a leader. And when you are leading and you don't have genuine followers, you are leading sycophants. You are not leading people with pedigrees. You are not leading people with patriotism. You are not building a nation. And the nation that we have today is in the hands of the political elite. And the dichotomy will remain with us for a long period of time if nothing is done drastically. Same from the National Assembly, same from the executive arm of government. And I tell it to them, whether you are on salary with them or not, all of us, we are being beaten hardly by the rate of inflation, by the economic quagmire that we found ourselves. Now, and never in the history of Nigeria have we had this bad. Now, Honorable Atayi, there are prospects from this economic reform. But how can we have prospects from this economic reform?
All right,
when the corruption is still 100%?
All right.
That is just my take.
Now, Honorable Atayi, your take is well noted. Let's, however, recommend solutions. Yes, we've highlighted the problem. This is going wrong. They're later doing this. In preferring solutions,
I have been giving you solutions. I have been giving you solutions. One of the solutions. Let me go quickly before your time elapses. There are enormous solutions. Number one, let's start from the education. The education that produce professionals, that produce professionalism. Don't place embargo on education. Remove anything like the yardstick of SSC and JAM. That is number one. They are not tests of knowledge. SSC now is not a test of knowledge.
So what would you recommend? What would you recommend as a medium to choose those who qualify for entrance examinations?
Everybody is qualified to enter any institution that they choose and to read any course that they want. So long as you have passed through the primary school to the secondary school, you have passed through the secondary school, you are going to a university that should be nothing like JAM. JAM now has placed so many people in their wrong professions. The professions that they don't want to read, JAM gives to them. And people who are supposed to go to school, who are eloquent, who have the dexterity, they are not given that chance. JAM will say they do not meet up the cut-off mark because they do not cheat and then those that cheated have no brain to study. And then the children of the big men, they are found reading medicine when they chose to go and read music, to go and study this. So remove jam and bring all those artisans like the mechanics, like the electricians, like the plumbers, like all the facets of productivities that are on the street, and that you place this dichotomy of paper certification. Give them certificates. Bring them to the education laboratory. Bring them there. Bring the auxiliary nurses to the schools. Bring them and empower them. Give them HND. Give them OND. Give them degrees, because these guys have the practical dexterity and the practical prowesses, and they are doing those things. Stop giving people paper certificates. Apart from the nursing, where you produce doctors and nurses, all other facets and little of the engineering courses we have, all other courses that we study and brag, are all administrative paper certificate productivity. And a nation that produces paper certificate cannot produce any economy at all. And that is why our economy is highly dependent on foreign grain. When you go to US, you have dancing school. You go to US, you have football school. You have schools for artisans. You have schools, and they give them the OND, they give them the HND, they give them the degrees. They even award some of them professors, depending on their thesis, on their theories that they have propounded. But in Nigeria, you see somebody calling himself a professor, and the only thing he does is to teach in colleges. That is a shame to me. Somebody with a PhD bragging, I'm a PhD holder, and he has discovered no thesis, he has discovered nothing. Somebody has a degree, and then he kept the certificate in his bag and cannot even produce job for himself. By the time you are through with college, you are supposed to be a job provider, and you are supposed to be a manufacturer. You are supposed to be productive in all the facets and all the enterprises that we have in the nation. That is how China is. That is how the whole Asian continent, Japan is. That is how even US is. That is how UK is. This administrative nonsense that we are teaching and producing and manufacturing paper certification in the country is a no to me. If I am a governor today, if I'm a president today, I will remove all that stupid curriculum that produce only paper certificate and harness talent, productivity from the street. And that, I think, is the perfect solution to the Nigerian quagmire. And the best time to start is now, not tomorrow. We should not wait. We should not bring any political bureaucracy towards this at all. This is how to build a nation. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you too, Honorable Atayi. We're wishing you the best of the rest of today. We appreciate you for your thoughts on the program.
Thank you for having me.